Welcome to the world of UFOs. Now I call it a world because with these very cool steel discs, you're going to be able to do a whole bunch of things, not just one trick or two trick. I'm going to show you how to make them vanish, how to make them appear, how to make them multiply, show you some bonus tricks, a bonus card trick, a very cool trick. I've got especially good responses. There's something so surreal with where the Spectre's initials actually travel, almost like a science fiction effect, in keeping with this whole U.F.O.S theme, where their initials travel from one of the discs to another in their own hand. Very cool. So it truly is a whole world of effects you can do with these. Now there's a bunch of virtues to these. First, they're highly reflective, okay? So this is, more than cards, more than coins. This is the kind of thing you can do close up or stand up or even on stage from a distance. And when the light hits them, everybody can see them. So it's beautiful. Another thing I like about these is they're not only that they are reflective, but they're also big. They're big ass. I mean, they're bigger than your half dollars, even bigger than a silver dollar. However, you'd think, okay, bigger. Usually, so to people, the idea of doing sleight of hand with them seems even less likely because they're so big. How are you going to hide them? However, I'm going to show you, and even you can try it right now, open up the package and take one out. They palm beautifully. The edges are really sharp, really clean, so they're easy to palm, actually. So great combination. I was thrilled when exploring these to discover that combination of elements. And they look like nothing else, which is really cool. Great opening effect. I'm a big fan of doing magic for sure with borrowed items. I think there's a lot of value in that. I'm also a big fan of doing stuff with stuff that, as long as it can be closely examined, as long as they can closely examine the item, I think surreal or unusual items also truly have a place, particularly if I'm going to be doing 15, 20, 30 minutes of magic for people. I don't want it all card tricks, and I don't want just cards and coins. I want to mix it up. So something like this really goes a long way with that. So let's just jump right in here, and I'll show you, start to teach you all the very cool things you can do with these UFOs. Let's take a few moments right now and look at a variety of vanishes and appearances, because there's so many different things you can do with these. As I mentioned off the top too, they're also lightweight. That's something I really like about this, because I've palmed, I used to palm large U.S. silver dollars. They're a little bit smaller than this, and even the weight of a silver dollar after a while can kind of make the hand sweat and all these things, but these are so light. There's so many things you can do with this. So let's talk about appearances for a second. As I just did there, a piece of flash paper. You can have this literally just in, and I have, as I always tell my students, I have very small hands, okay? I really do have tiny hands. Here, let's just do this comparison right now very quickly. I want you to see. If you hold up a card, I'm going to put a card in my hand, okay? I want you to, if you grab a card now and put it in your hand, I think you'll see that your hand probably, unless you're a young person, your hand is probably a little bit bigger than my hand based on a poker-sized card. I have small hands, okay? So keep that in mind. And yet still, these suckers I have no problem handling. This I can just have in finger palm, okay? With the sort of the, what are we going to call it here? Let's call it the lip facing up, okay? So there, and I can have a piece of flash paper here, small or big or whatever. And the nice thing is, when I go to my pocket to get the piece of flash paper, the lighter, it's so easy for me to just get that in that palm, and you're here, right? And under the flash of fire, it's a perfect complement to lighting this. You wave it a bit, and then boom, you've got that there. So it really has a gorgeous appearance. So that's with flash paper. Another real simple thing is just to palm it, and you'll find the classic palms, they feel so nice, so right in the hand. These little edges, you actually have to be careful because they're quite sharp, and boy, it's like having a little creature bite into your palm, okay? So from this position, notice that my hands are especially, the fingers are nice and wide, the thumb, there's a real looseness because this is so large. You don't have to cramp the hand down a little bit, or the base of the thumb to hold it in the hand, okay? So you can just produce it even from here. You can show the hand empty, come over here, and just in cupping the fingers, as I close the fingers, my hand passes over, okay, here. My hand passes over, I drop it off and come up and snap. Now you're going to find these are large, so it's, it's not the kind of thing that if you close your fist all the way around it, that it could still flash. I mean, it is very big, which is why I'm going to share with you now stuff that I've specifically worked on to really make sure there's minimal flashing from the sides and from the back. So that's one simple production. Another simple production is basically a false transfer, right? You can have this in classic palm. Again, reach out with your empty hand and then sort of pretend to pluck off invisibly from the hand, as if you just grab something here and I'm going to let this fall to my fingertips, basically, from classic palm to my fingertips as I come over and pretend to pick this up, okay? So that can have a really nice appearance. Perfect visual misdirection. Nothing here, boom, I've got something here, and then I'm going to pick it up here, all right? So there's a false drop, there's a false take. You could do a transfer from here over to this hand like that, right? Basically like almost a David Roth pass, but with nothing. Boom, got something here and passing it over here. I pulled it from my shirt. Very simply, if you've got maybe you're wearing a jacket, you pull from the one side of the jacket, or you're wearing a sweater, you can just give a pull, so it's here, you sort of boom, then you pull here, and you just a grip, and it's boom, like that, and right like that, so you can sort of pull it off from your clothes like that as well. You could do it from a card case, right? Real simple, similar to a classic card production thing. What you can do is you can have this in classic palm, right? You can have someone open the case if you want, like this, okay, or show the case is empty. Close it up, and then as you retake the case, all you do is you load the disc, and you'll find if the disc is not lip side up, but if it's the soft side, the top of the disc uppermost. Now you can load this underneath the case as you come over, open this up, and you get this beautiful optical illusion of the empty hand now pulling from inside. Okay, and again, all I'm doing there, this is a standard card slide to produce a card, but I want to make sure if you're relatively new to magic that you can see what I'm doing here, is I'm here, and as I transfer it from here to the other hand, all I'm going to do, and this is easier standing up for sure, it's easier to cover your angles, is I'm going to load this underneath. Now what's nice about this is your hands are alternately shown empty, because just the case here, loaded underneath, show the hand empty, coming over here, it's all looking good, and I'm just holding it underneath the case. So it's a great segue. You've done some card tricks, and if you want to do some stuff with the U.F.O.S, out comes one of these, even though the case was just examined and empty. So that's a very cool thing. You can do it from a coin, right? Another appearance here. And this is sort of nice, from silver to silver. I like the segue, sort of the way that flows too, is you can do a spellbound where you're here and then it changed to that, okay? And again, you got to figure out what is a comfortable position for you. But this, the nice thing's here, you come over and boom, it looks like it's just changed into that, all right? So that's another way. The card case, the coins, the flash paper certainly is probably the most dramatic of all those kinds of things. Even just a simple tap with a marker, even just, this can be in your right hand pants pocket, okay? This is in your left. Both hands go into your pockets looking for the marker. You ever wonder why they call it a magic marker and then both hands go into the pocket? Literally just palm this. Come out here, all focus is here, and you go watch. This is why they call it a magic marker. Tap like this, squeeze the hand. You want a bit of a time lapse from when this was in the pocket to when the fist is out here. Wiggle your fingers, turn it over, and boom. So simple. I know if you're, this might seem overly simple as a production, but believe me, these are so large again. The appearance of this in your hand, especially if you've already done a couple of tricks, a tap and then it's just there like that, that can look very magical as well. Okay, so those are a bunch of appearances. Now I want to show you some vanishes. Now, I know a whole bunch of pretty interesting coin vanishes, okay, but a lot of them will not work with the disc. The disc is too big. It really is. You're going to get flashing, and you can try palm up retention, all this. I found really, here's my two favorite vanish of these. First, it's a very big, it's a retention vanish, but it's not done on the palm, and it's not even my palm up retention. It's sort of here, so I'm moving forward, coming in, and as I'm coming in, I am doing the traditional, where I'm basically holding between thumb and finger, but then these fingers come up, and I sort of pivot it down behind the fingers and try to get as quickly as I can into a sort of a thumb and finger open. So this is what the right hand's doing, okay? Here, I'm pushing it down and doing that. The left hand is coming over with really broads because you want to get a nice flash, you want to get a nice retention. So one of the nice things about the shine is not only can people see it from a distance, and it's great. I mean, you're at a wedding gig, the music's too loud, you got to do something, go up to a table that immediately shouts, "I'm a magician." rather than just taking a quarter or even $1/2, you take this out or pull this from the cloth of your material or produce it, and then immediately make it vanish, and everybody can see it. So this is a very broad. I'm here and I'm coming over, and as I'm grabbing this sucker, I'm going to pull it down here like this and grab, okay? Now, keep in mind, you can't go to a full fist like this, because because on an unconscious level, people are going to realize that this big object can't be concealed in a closed fist. So it's here and there and there. And in the time, so it's forward, okay? Forward, back slightly. The two hands are coming together, and then this hand moves forward. Okay, so it's sort of boom, boom, and then I can tap, and it's gone. And again, the moment everybody's looking at the left hand as it goes, very easy to push this boom up into a really lovely light classic palm. Okay. Another vanish I want to share with you is a two-handed vanish. And this only works because it is big. You try this with a smaller item and it would look like too much hand action. But here, it's an interesting two-handed thing. Let me tilt the camera down a little bit more here. Okay, like this, okay. They're looking down. Typically you're standing there looking down. And I'm going to sort of present it with, again, the edges up here. And I'm going to turn both hands over and wave. So there's a vanishing point. It looks like it, and I turn slightly to the left to cover the angles, okay? So it's not clear. Did it vanish from this hand? Was he transferring it this hand? But this much they know. This big item, okay, this big item is now gone. And all I'm doing is using this large action of turning both hands, and the fingertips are against the knuckles. This is important, because you don't want the right hand too off on its own, or it becomes too obvious that it must be here. You want the hands to share the moment. So they're here, the fingertips are on against the knuckles here, and you turn, and only once sort of this position do you now push your right fingers up and into classic palm. If you do it too soon, they're going to see it. So it's only really when the backs of both hands, then it goes up, and then there's this boom. And you're doing a wipe at the end there. Boom and boom, and there's this sense that it's suddenly between the two hands, it's gone. Now, you wouldn't just stand there or ta-da and wait for them to see ask to see the hands and wait for it to flash if you're not careful. What you would do is maybe make it vanish from here and then ask them to open the card case and they find another one inside, or you go into your pocket as part of a flurrious thing, okay? Here are three little almost flourishes kind of thing, magic moments that you can throw in again when doing, if you want to make a few vanishes and appearances, that kind of thing. One of them is a split. I took a while to figure this out. You're going to use two, okay? And if you really want to show your hands very clean, you can start by just showing one at the right fingertips, right? You show it, apparently pass it over there like this, then come over here and split it into two. Looks very pretty. Again, you do this in a stand-up show. It's just a beautiful, flashy kind of moment of magic here. And again, you've shown the right hand apparently empty, but for one, right? And then the left hand apparently empty, but for one. Then you come over and you do this gorgeous split. Now there I'm doing a version of my flying, sort of my flying shuttle pass, a version of David Roth's. Because David Roth, of course, if you were to do a shuttle pass, David Roth style with these, you'd show this one. This is basically resting on the fingertips. I guess the fleshy part of the fingers with the sharp edge pointing down, okay? This is here, and you go from here and you turn this over as you feed this in, and it looks like you've just transferred from the left hand to the right, okay? That would be, now if you want to do it back, what you do is you basically show it here, and you're going to toss it from the right hand to the left. And with my flying shuttle, which works well with this larger item, there's a bit of a retention. They can see it leave the right hand and land in the left. And what I'm doing in the left hand, the right hand just palming it, of course. It's going nowhere. The left hand, it's resting on my fingertips. I am not flicking. I'm not throwing. I'm not giving any energy or motion to it. It's the hand turning over that just causes it naturally to kind of hop over. So don't flick, don't push, particularly with these light items, it's going to go flying. You just are turning it over. The momentum of turning it over is enough, okay? So you combine the two together, and I think you'd agree it looks exactly like the disc is going from the right hand to the left. Okay, from the right to the left. So you're secretly switching them, but really what's valuable is you're showing the right hand's empty except for the disc. and the left hand is empty except for the disc. So there's no way anybody's thinking you're hiding anything else in your hand, but you got a whole other disc there. So you can go from here to here, right? Now, you want this for sure with the edges down, okay? And you want this palmed, okay, with the edges into the palm, right? So when I come over here, I'm going to literally put this one on top of that one, then move my left thumb on top of there, and finally move away. So I'm here, finally move away with my fingers at the front here, pulling this, and at the last moment after this clears is when my right thumb then comes down. So this is the position of the two sliding against each other and sliding away, all right? Now, if you do this a lot, I'm going to tell you right now, these discs, and it's nice is, first you'll get fingerprints on these discs fine, or you'll get, I don't know, you're working at a restaurant gig and get a little bit of ketchup or maple syrup or something up here in Canada on them. They're easy to polish, easy to wipe off. It's strong steel, okay, which is cool. But if you're going to do a lot of this particular, there will be a bit of scratching, so I'm going to warn you right now. You might get a bit of scratching, but frankly, I've handled the same set now probably for 3 or 4 months. And I've got scratches on a few areas all over them. And my thinking is, as long as the scratching is a little bit on all the discs, I'm good. If all of a sudden only one of them looks all scratched up, I don't want that as much. Okay, so that's my thinking on it. So here again, you've got, you can show it, and you can do you can show this, do a shuttle, show that, toss that back over, flying shuttle. Then you're going to come over here, as I said, on the fingertips and pull. And don't worry about the moment that these two actually make sound. I mean, here it's totally silent in my house, except for maybe you'll hear my pug dog Curly snoring, as always, not too far off here. In a restaurant, in a bar where you're usually performing the work lunchroom at school cafeteria, there's noises no one's going to hear. And notice a second later, that is the production. So it's almost as if any little tap goes right into the slide anyway, okay? Another thing I want to mention is with practice, you can do the traditional, and this is, I sort of have this down sometimes, then I have to practice again. You can do the very traditional, kind of cool, one coin roll down, okay? Again, the edges are so sharp, they really bite into the fingers, making it pretty easy to hold the grip, but you got to be careful. I've practiced this for maybe 20 minutes at a go before, and I start to almost get little cuts. Again, I love how crisp and cleanly these grip. But you don't want to hurt yourself, so you can do one coin roll down with that. Just talk to the splits. Oh, and the elbow to elbow, sort of a one coin routine here, right? Where you can show it, show the disc, okay? Maybe do the false transfer like we spoke before. Apparently showing only one. Do the toss back, whatever you want, okay? But let's say I've done this, okay? And I just take this and I say, watch. Believe it or not, this is a UFO. This is an unidentified flying object. Now I know you're thinking it's just a magician with this pattern, right? But look, I can take it and I put it against that elbow, it comes out there. If I want, I can put it over here, it comes back out there. So just this kind of moment, okay? Even walking up to a table as your first trick, walking up, you got them both in, this is in finger palm, this is in classic palm if you want. Walking up, you're walking by the table and you look down right near the table and you bend down to the floor and you pick this up and you look at it. You kind of look at it, and when you look at it, they're going to look at it, and you go, did someone drop this? No? You go, okay. Boom, like this, it's there. Boom, it's back there like that. It's just a quick, and immediately they know something very strange is about to happen. So it's beautiful to be able to, it's one of the things I like about this kind of, magic prop, is that I don't have to say a word. I can just do pure magic. I can do a couple of really quick things in 5 or 10, 15 seconds and immediately go into something else if I want. Now this is something I came up with years ago because what I wanted to be able to do actually was I thought there's got to be some way for me to borrow any coin and at least create the visual illusion for a second of pushing a marker or something through it. So I came up with this idea, and then when I started to explore all the different things I could do with these UFOs, I was thrilled to find I could do it here. Now this little magic moment is a combination of a couple of things. First, it's a very old optical illusion involving bending. And this is a fun thing. You can do this with a borrowed coin. It looks particularly good, though, with the big reflective silver disc. Because this illusion of bending, of it now being bendable, okay, is very strong. And what sells this optical illusion is it's all about the elbow as it really is. You can do it small, and all I'm doing is thumbs at the back, and notice my fists are perfectly mirroring each other. That's important. You don't want one a little different than the other. They mirror. And you're going to, first fingers on the front, thumb at the back like this, and I'm not moving. All I'm doing is pushing this forward. And the best thing you want is notice between the two fingers. Now you don't see, when you go from showing no silver between the fingers to some silver, okay? And you add to that you're really getting this bending. It's a really nice optical illusion, okay? And don't just go ba, 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 ba. It's a rhythm thing too, where maybe a bit and then a little bit here at the back and then back. So don't do it steadily. Break the rhythm with this, okay? You could say, well, do they seem pretty sturdy? But I always say to people, take a look at that. They can examine it. See that's a very careful. I don't even know how this works. U.F.O.S and flying saucers and all that stuff. Very gentle. I said, but all I have to do is heat up a little bit, and actually I can make it warm enough that I can bend it a bit. In fact, the metal, this mystery metal, is so soft. I can take my magic marker and jam it right through the middle as I say that I do this cool illusion. So I'm clipping this between the two fingers, okay? Now you don't want it. The idea here, you're not trying to hide it, okay? It's not like you're trying to hide a coin between your fingertips so you can do, or over by the knuckles I should say, here, like this. You're not trying to hide it so you can do production from nowhere. That's not what you're trying to do. You're just trying to get a really good grip on the edge of it. It's okay to show a little bit of the silver, but not a lot, okay? The reason why you're going to want a really good grip is because the illusion is performed, or what makes the illusion possible is you're going to tap, and you need to be able to hold the disc with the thumb off it for a beat while this marker passes on top of it, and then you immediately, as you move forward, make it open. Or sort of the thumb comes up and puts it back in the original position. Now this is going to take some practice, okay? But it's cool because once you get it, you'll be able to do the same thing with a borrowed quarter. A nice little thing before doing a cigarette through quarter or a more legitimate marker or finger through coin, something like that, okay? So here, you tap once, twice. On third, you go down, and I'm going to pull this up, and you want to get that audio. You want to get that audio sound as you come up. Put it all together, and boy, it looks just like it went right through the middle. Now, do you close your show with that illusion? No. Do you open with it? No, because it's not strong enough. But as one moment where did I just see what I think I saw? It's a very sweet little additional visual magic moment. Fred Capps was one of the first people to have a folded card appear somewhere else. And he used the Mercury card fold, which now has become very popular through a number of effects, including my own paperclipped effect. But even before people were doing the Mercury card fold, they were doing this, okay? This, because the Mercury card fold, of course, is a two-hand fold. People were doing this one-hand fold, okay? And it is not easy, but with practice you get it down. I'll show you the misdirection on it. It can be very strong. So if someone signs a card, okay, because this is something I've used, I sort of riffed it one time with one of the UFO discs, and the response, it has a way of focusing the effect and building the drama, sort of like almost a ta-da moment behind a curtain kind of vibe, which played so well that I then started doing it on a regular basis. So you have a card selected, okay? You control to, let's say, put it in the middle of the pack, okay? And let's say I want to control to the top of the deck, and let's say I'm just going to do a very simple double undercut, where I keep a break above the card, and then my thumb's going to go with the back. I'm going to hold that break with my thumb, and I'm going to riffle off first the half the bottom cards, and then the rest of the bottom cards, okay? Which, of course, brings the selection to the top. In performance, it just looks like I'm giving the cards a cutting the cards somewhere in the middle of the deck, but of course it's back on top. Now, this was the traditional misdirection, and I still do it today, and this was you probably used 100 years ago, is you palm off the card, okay, either two-hand palm, okay, pushing the card off, or, as I tend to use, a one-hand top palm, okay? And I hand the deck to someone and say, can you give those a shuffle? And as they give them a shuffle, I cross my arms, okay? Just sort of waiting, or I'm just there. Give them a good shuffle. Yeah, you take your time. There's no rush, okay? And I'm just here. And underneath this crossed arm is where you're going to do this fold. And here's the fold. Let's bring this right in here. I want you to see this. Okay. So, first you curl your fingers. bringing this part, you want it in thirds, right? So you're going to curl your fingers and bring it into about the middle, and it can be rough, don't worry. So that's about a third. Then the thumb is going to push this over, and so now what you've done is you've curled everything into about a third, okay, there. And to finish, the thumb's going to come over. You want the tip of basically I guess it's the tip of the middle finger, okay, pressing here, because that's going to help you start pushing down, okay, maybe, yeah, pushing down like this, and then the whole thing folds in half. Boom. All right. Very nice little packet. Okay. Performance speed. I mean, once you get it down, you don't have to do it. It's not like the Mercury card fold where traditionally people do it boom, really quickly. Because here you got your arm crossed, okay? Or even your hands at your side. If there's tables around and you drop your hands below the edge of the table, no one's looking anyway. Someone's shuffling the cards. When people are shuffling the cards, there's usually, they're dropping the cards. People make comments about poet, and other friends go, oh, be careful, careful with the shuffling. There's lots going on. So, performance speed, okay? 1. So performance speed, okay? Fold, done. Just takes a second. It doesn't take very long to fold it into a packet. Now, once you've got the selected and signed card, fold it up. Let's put another big mark on here. Boom. Selected and signed card. Remember, with practice, you're going to fold it in thirds, okay, and then fold in half. Once you've got the selected and signed card secretly in the right hand, I mean, you're so far ahead. It's a great finger palm too, right? They're still shuffling the pack, whatever, okay? Now what you can do, you're here, okay? Hand them the card case and ask them to put the deck and the cards in the case. So look, they selected any card, they signed a card, they shuffle the deck, and they put the cards in the case. Okay, you're so far ahead. They have no clue that the card is not only not in the cards, but it's in your right hand and folded up. And because it's folded up in this one-handed method, because the Mercury card fold doesn't produce folded cards that easily fit under here, but this one-handed technique does. So now I can introduce this, or maybe I've already done some magic with this and left this on the table. Someone shuffled this up. Now I just have to pick this up and I can immediately load the folded card underneath. Now, there's lots of ways to do this, of course. I could take the card case back like this, okay, handle it very fairly, and all I've done is gone from finger palm loading this underneath the case as I come up like this, right? Then I can take this, I can even put this on here, squeeze a little bit, and then as I pull this off, I can load this on behind it if I want. But I find the easiest technique of all is just simply, as they're putting the cards inside the case, pick up the disc or take it out of your pocket and just put it literally in your hand right over the folded card. Okay, very simple to do. Now I've got the folded card here. And I love this focus though, of taking this, okay, putting it on top, putting my thumbs on top, showing this very fairly on all sides, okay, and then they really focus. And what I like to do, and I've learned this kind of gooses the magic here, is my two thumbs are on top, one in front of the other, and I pivot the case though, okay, I just sort of pivot the case, boom, like 180 degrees or 360, okay, so I say, watch, concentrate on your card right there. There's something magical about that moment. And then when you do this, people freak. It's just, you say, everyone lean in, and they go, and people are not thinking, I bet the card is going to appear under it, folded up. No one goes to fold it, so they don't think it's under there. They think something else is going to appear under there, something's going to happen. But when they see, wait a second, there's a folded card just appeared underneath the disc. Oh, and I love the fact that it's still folded face in, so they think, I mean, there's levels of drama, there's beats going on here. Then you're like this, then you're like this, and boy, that is just a especially powerful trick. Some of the strongest magic you'll ever do involves audience participation. When people are involved in the trick in a certain way, when they're asked to hold things or sign things, whatever, it makes the magic realer. They trust it more. They're involved. There's this implicit fairness about things. It also gets them to emotionally invest in the trick, okay? It's not just a watch me trick. Though I do like watch me tricks. I think, like I was saying, the vanishes and appearances and some of these magic moments really have their place in a performance of magic, in a full show. But if I only could ever do one trick for a small audience, I would always do something that involves them in as much as I can. There's so many levels. And also when you involve people, even having someone taking a cap off a dry marker, or even having somebody, when you get them involved in the simplest things, it opens up things. Funny things happen, strange things happen, conversations are started. So I love all that. So this is very strong because it involves their initials, all right? And I'm going to show you two handlings. I'm going to show you handling with 2 discs, and then sort of one that has even more convincing visuals with 3. Okay, but for now, just the 2 disc handlings, very straightforward, right? Going to need a dry marker, a dry white marker, all right? You'll find that, there's so many virtues to handling this lovely steel. And one of them is that someone can put their initials and everybody can see it, very big and bold. But after the trick, of course, you can then just take a paper napkin or a piece of paper towel or a cloth napkin or in the corner of your shirt and wipe it right off, okay? So there's a bunch of different things you can do with this. I've come up with several different tricks, but this is by far, I think, the most direct and the most commercial and the most practical and all that. So all I do, real simply, is I have this, okay? And you're going to once again use the David Roth transfer here, okay? Really simply works well with these big discs. So what you have this, you're going to have this second disc in your pants pocket, okay? Along with the marker, all right? And so to perform this, all you're going to do is you're going to say, let's try something here. And sometimes I refer to the whole Star Trek thing about beam me up, Scotty, and all that stuff, which, interesting note, was never actually said in the series. If you Google this on Wikipedia, you'll see that beam me up, Scotty, that line was never actually said quite like that, beam me up, Scotty, in any of the Star Trek stuff, the movies, the original series, I should say. I think they corrected it and put it in a movie. But anyway, so we're here. Talk about Star Trek and talk about the whole idea of moving something from one place to another through space and time and this kind of thing. And have someone put their initial on it. Let's say it's ML, okay, like that. Now, they put their initial on it. My hands are obviously empty. When I put this in my pocket, that's when I palm the other and I come out, okay? I'm here. I make sure it's dry, and I have a reason to pick it up from them to blow on it, make sure it's dry, okay? Then I ask them to hold their palm, and I make sure that in my hand, when I went down to get the marker, what you want to make sure is you're not going to palm this in the classic palm, because that's not going to be in the right position. You're simply going to hold it in finger palm with the edges down, okay? That way, when you do your shuttle pass, everything looks as it should. Notice, obviously, if this were up, first, it doesn't look as it should, and they can immediately see the vanish. Not so much the trick you want. So they put their initial on it. Okay, I get rid of this and put it in my pocket. When I do that, I palm the other and I blow this, and then I do my transfer. Okay, and they don't think, if anything, they're going to think you're trying to make this vanish or appear or something with it. They don't think you're trying to make the mark vanish, which you just have. So I do the transfer. Put it on the table, typically, or put it on someone's hand. Have them put their hand on top of that. Then I go to my pocket and I say, I actually, got to be honest with you, I have a second one of these discs. I say, watch. And you only introduce the fact that you have 2. You only introduce the fact that you have 2 after they're holding on to that, or after you've put this into the card case or whatever you're going to do. But I just take this out, I say, I actually have a second one, and I say, watch. 1, 2, 3. I ask them to turn theirs over, and they see their initials are gone, and impossibly, even though they held it from the very beginning, or in the card case, or in a paper napkin, then I turn this over, and I show, now I've got the initials. So it's a very different kind of effect, this traveling initials thing, okay? And of course, if you are using a paper napkin, if the way you're going to perform this, let's say, again, is, I'll use my pouch actually down here. You're here, and if you had that mark like that, and then when you put this away in your pocket here, you grab the other one here like this, and you do your transfer here like that. Now, if you're using a paper napkin, of course, it makes so much sense, because now it's going to be there for the wipe at the end, okay? And of course, you don't want to hold this in your hand for 30 seconds. It's a big item, so after you do the switch, what I'll typically do, okay, I'm here, so you gotta be very careful. I touched it and smudged a little bit here. Is I do the transfer and I say, put your hand on top of that. I say, actually, my hand's already going, okay? Actually, I have a second one of these. I've got 2, okay? Then I do then you go to your pocket for the marker, tap, 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 and you've made this amazing transfer, and you can finish, of course, by wiping that off. And you're good to go. You got 2 of these. You can go into some other stuff with the discs. Now, if you want to really this is the only way I think you should ever perform it. But if you're performing for magicians, or you want to take it that next level up, you can add a third one into the mix, okay? And what this allows you to do is they've made the mark on the thing. That's fine, okay? What allows you to do, and you're going to do the transfer. You do the transfer where it's palm up there. You transfer, ring this one in, okay? But say I actually have a second one. And when I say I have a second one, both hands go into my pockets. And what I do, boom, is I take out, I've got this still palmed in finger palm, okay? Still palmed in finger palm. But I take this one out and I can show, so both hands go into my pockets. I can show both sides of this disc, okay? Then do a flying shuttle as already taught here, okay? And now I can have the, and you'll find that with this palmed, okay, it sits so nicely and tightly in the hand that it's perfect. You can even do a thumb and finger grip of your marker here like this. Looks so fair. Now you can show you've got the mark and they can turn them over. And of course, when you put this away, now you can get rid of the third disc. So the third disc allows you to kind of show front and back before it then appears from here and you reveal the vanish here. But as I said, I strongly, I mean, unless it really appeals to you, really for this very magical and memorable trick, just use the two discs. I think that delivers the exact same effect for most lay people. The great coin magician, Al Schneider, first released the trick that we commonly know as matrix. And matrix first had involved cards and coins. And you would cover, it had 4 coins on the table, cover them with cards, and then one by one, boom, 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 the 4 coins would magically travel around. Very similar to cups and balls when you think of it, where items are vanishing and appearing under some concealment. Now, that was released, I'm going to guess, in the 70s sometime. Before then, long before then, there was the original Stars of Magic series, put out by Tannen's Magic. And I had the original Stars of Magic book, one of my early books. I can still see that blue book and the Stars of Magic on the side. And in the Stars of Magic, there was a trick that was, I think, called Chink a Chink. And that, it sounds like obviously it sounds like a racist slur. I don't believe that's what it was about. I don't think there was some reference to Oriental magic or anything tragic or outdated or, like I said, racist stereotypes or any of that. Pretty sure it was a reference to the sound the items made as they moved around. Now, with this original version that was in Stars of Magic, I'm pretty sure it was sugar cubes. And sugar cubes used to be not just in perfect squares, but in rectangles. So they were actually pretty good items to have on the table and be able to put your hand, your palm, on the item and be able to secretly palm it. So in that case, you were talking about 4 items moving around magically while you waved your hands ostensibly on the items and they jumped. No cover, no cards. And there's something so organic about that. Now, since I read that many years ago, I've messed around with many different items. Always looking. The problem with, using corks from wine bottles or sugar cubes or matchboxes, all these kinds of things, is everything had to be set up on the table in just the right angle. Things had to be at just the right angle, or you'd have this moment where you go down to palm it while you're waving your hand, trying to get that fluid motion. You wave your hand, and there'd have to be a moment where you'd have to readjust because the palm wasn't quite working. So ultimately, I didn't perform it. Because in the real world, when I'm working with people at shows and things, I'm not interested in tricks that will probably work or maybe work. It's got to be boom, boom every time. I need that confidence as a performer, right? I'm sure you can relate. So this, for me, along with all the tricks I've showed you here, this version of Matrix using these UFO discs is the next level. It is flawless. You can count on it every single time. It's pure magic. Great for opening, going up and going boom, boom, boom. Great closing trick. And like I said, it's so nice to be able to do this. Years ago, I would try to do it, and only recently sort of revamped it. I'd carry around a micro cassette recorder and just put it on the table and press play and have a little bit of music going on, just for 30 seconds. Sort of a musical interlude in my act when working in a space that wasn't too loud. Get 5 of the discs. Get a nice thick rubber band. A thin rubber band will get cut by the edges after a couple of tries. Get a nice thick rubber band, and this is how I carry them. Okay? If I want to do the Matrix, I carry them like this. Now notice, I can take this out of my pocket, show you, and nobody has any idea whether 4, whether 5, whether 6. People don't know how many, and they stack nicely. So this is a really portable thing in my case or my back pocket. I can go into this anytime. And all I do is I take the rubber band off, all right? Boom, like this. Take the stack, literally put it on my hand, getting ready to palm that bottom one, and then from here tip them over and start to arrange the 4. And what I've been able to do is secretly get the 5th one where I wanted, which was in right hand classic palm. Okay? So that's the easiest way to do it. Alternatively, you could have the 4 wrapped up with a rubber band, right? And then when you put the rubber band, of course, in your, you can say, here's a little something with 4 UFOs, have them all examined, put the rubber band in your pocket, you could turn, and as soon as you put it in your pocket, what do? You just classic palm the disc, okay, and you're ready to go. So this, I love how beautiful this looks, just this classic version, where the discs seemingly hop from one hand to the other, boom, like that. And of course, what I really like is if you're working in a coffee shop or someplace like that, you can always lap the 5th one and never get caught, okay? But I do this stand-up too, and after I do the 4, then I get the rubber band and wrap them back up. So the technique on this is the exact same as the traditional handling. I just don't think you can improve upon it. You've got 1 in classic palm, these 4 here in a square, okay? And the key is that you never want this hand open and this hand slightly cupped, right? And you gotta watch your angles. Right now the camera is about 11 inches off the table. So, and when I'm performing this, nobody's 11 inches leaning in like this. So you're gonna get a little flash in the fingers here. Usually people, I'm standing and they're standing. So they're looking down. So there's no possibility. They're looking at the back of the hand. They never see, I'm trying to get an angle here for the camera. They don't see that flash of the palm in there, okay? And you'll find this yourself. You perform this for yourself in front of a mirror and you're standing looking down, you'll see that you've got lots of breathing room without having to flash, okay? And if someone's on my right-hand side, I move slightly to my right. If someone's on my left, they're a little on my left, I'll be very careful. And if they're way on my left, that's the one place where it'll maybe flash. So you really don't want people over here, looking over your shoulder or sitting beside you, right? So you're like this. This is classic palm. Both hands move together at the same time. You wiggle your fingers, just to wiggle the finger. And the wiggle of the finger allows you, you'll find, if you put your hands palm flat for a beat and wiggle the finger, you'll have no problem palming this one, okay? And leaving that one to go. So just being able to do that once. That's all you did, was have 2 discs, come over, wiggle your fingers, and they travel. It's just beautiful magic, but you actually repeat it a few times. You go from this position, right hand backs up, left hand comes forward, and you're gonna leave this one now over here, while this one's gonna palm this one. Okay, so you do this, and again, the hands move together, wiggle the fingers, and up, and it's transferred across. This last one, you come in here, you wiggle. Now, there's a lot, I've talked to a few different guys about, so what makes the most sense. I think you want to show the vanish, then the appearance, okay? I don't think you want to show the appearance, have focus shift from here, and now you've got focus on the one hand and the one spot you don't want it, all right? So when you do this, it's nice to get a rhythm, a beat back and forth, and at the end here, you want to go wiggle, sort of hand goes down, wiggle, it's gone, and by now they know. This is the nice thing about the repetition. If this wasn't repeated a few times beforehand, then they would linger here more. But since they know it vanishes, appears, at the end, when you do one last vanishes, boom, vanishes, appears, all focus is there, all right? So, now, you came out, you showed 4, there were only 4, you put the rubber band away and secretly palm. They know there's only 4. So my suggestion would be, if you do it with confidence, there's not that much heat now on this hand. Okay, especially if at that point you put both hands in your pockets and you get out the rubber band and you start wrapping these up. Or as I said, if you're seated now, you can do the classic ditch on the last one, right? Where you're in this position here, you come over here, show the vanish, lift the hand, and as the hand comes up to show the appearance, that's exactly when the hand rests for a second on the edge of the table and drops that into your lap, and then you can come away, spread these 4. Do not, the moment you've got rid of it, don't do this, because that has that, I just got rid of it thing. What you want to do is sort of take that beat there, and then if you want, either show your hands obviously empty, or as you gather these up, 1, 2, 3, 4, show your hands empty at that point. Performance speed. Okay. Performance speed. This is my right pocket. These are all wrapped up with the rubber band, say. Okay. I'm here. Got 4 here like this. And you can start by taking this out and handing it to someone. Say, don't take the rubber band off yet. But what do those look like? What is that? Do you know that those are UFOs? They're unidentified flying objects. Now again, you might think it's some sort of magician's pattern or presentation, but I'm going to show you these actually fly in a very mysterious way. And that's what I like also about this. I mean, why are the things moving? What is the motivation there? And I love the fact that I have this really cute little hook in about unidentified flying objects, and then you show. So off they come. Take the moment to put them all here like this in your little square. On the offbeat, put that in your pocket. You palm the one you need, right? Then you come out like this and you're ready to go. Number 1 goes. Number 2 goes. Number 3 goes. And again, you can either have ditched it in your lap, as I did, or assuming it's still in classic palm, number 3 goes here, like that. The third one goes like that. And then you go, and I think you'll agree that that is proof. I think you agree that's the proof they're unidentified flying objects. And in fact, let me get that rubber band, because I found that sometimes these guys have a tendency of flying away. Well, I really hope you have a lot of fun with UFOs. There's so many effects you can do. There's vanishes, appearances, the marker thing, the folded card, the traveling initials, and of course the matrix. A whole bunch of cool things you can do. Really, really visual stuff. As always, put in a bit of time. Mirror work. I don't think all tricks in magic require mirror work for sure, but this is very much working on the retention, working on the two-handed vanish. You definitely want to do some mirror work there. So much sleight of hand you can learn with that. Also, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my free magic newsletter. Okay, it comes out once or twice a week. There's a whole bunch of information. There's magic theory, presentational tips, sometimes some sleight of hand stuff, some product news, big discounts. You can save 20, 30, 40, sometimes even 60% off some of my stuff. So that's all there. And I even include stories from recent performances, including some crash and burns. Because everybody, don't kid yourself, everybody bombs sometime. It's just you and the audience don't click, whatever. So all that information is there. Best way to subscribe to it is to go to sankymagic.com, my merchandise site, sankymagic.com. And if you go to the bottom of the homepage, you'll see there's a sign-up box. Sign up, and you'll get the free newsletter, like I said, every week. So do that. Oh, last thing I wanted to mention about these are magnetic, meaning that, or they're steel, so not that they're, how do you put it? They're not magnetic, but magnets can attract them. So what I've done is I've messed around with a magnet in my back pocket, for example, and you can have one literally stuck to the back of your jeans, okay? And if you're wearing a jacket, for example, the jacket, just the edge of the jacket will cover it. So you have a beautiful way to now, whenever you want, the hand drops to your, pretty much to your side, you can make one appear, and particularly at the end of doing the matrix, if you want to then ditch that final one, if you have a magnet in your back pocket, your left back pocket, after the last vanish, you sort of take a step back. In just a second, you can ditch that one and have it stuck to your back pocket and your hands are clean. So experiment with some magnets with these. There's a whole bunch of cool vanishes, appearances, and multiplications, all that stuff, depending on where you have the magnet concealed on you. So another cool thing about the UFOs.